Hello, everyone. It's Clay Jenkinson, and I'm out listening to America. It's August 1st, 2025. Today is the birthday of one William Clark. Both captains had their birthdays in August. Lewis is August 18th. Clark is August 1st. Lewis didn't tend to celebrate his birthdays in the wilderness, and the one that he really mentioned was here in Montana amongst the Shoshone, really concerned about whether they were going to get the horses they needed and whether they were going to get to the Pacific Ocean in time, how many more years it would take for them to finish. Lewis tended to run hot, very self-critical and self-punishing. Clark was more genial, more even-tempered, let's say. Lewis mentions his birthday in 1805 and says, so far I haven't done anything with my life, and I've now reached about half the time I am to remain in the sublunary world, and I reflected that I had as yet done little but very little indeed to advance the information of the succeeding ages, etc., etc. He says, I dashed from me the gloomy thought, and I resolved in the future to redouble my efforts to pursue those two primary objects of human existence, etc. Clark is much more, okay, it's my birthday. In fact, he usually orders up what he calls a fat saddle of venison, so the prime cuts in a deer. He loves that for his birthday, and when his birthday comes, he says, I ordered up a fat saddle of venison. So he takes the very best roast from a newly killed deer. Clark is essential to the success of the Lewis and Clark expedition, arguably more essential even than Lewis. Now, Lewis is the scientist, and Lewis is the writer, and Lewis is the more reflective. Lewis has a deeper geopolitical understanding. Lewis can do Linnaean classification. Lewis is in charge of the celestial navigation to determine latitude and longitude, not that he was very successful at it. Clark is much more the handler of the men and the boats. He has a better relationship with Sacagawea, a much better relationship with Toussaint Charbonneau. Eventually wants to adopt their child, Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau, which he in some limited sense does in St. Louis. Clark is the cartographer and an amazing, extraordinary, outstanding mapmaker, something that Lewis would have been okay at, but not in the manner of Clark. In some ways, it could be called the Clark and Lewis expedition. I think if Lewis hadn't chosen Clark, he probably would have succeeded, but I'm not sure that we would be talking about it. It would have been a much different sort of mission under Lewis's sole command. Clark was sort of a protector of Lewis. He calmed him down. He grounded him. He made sure that Lewis didn't, as he was wont to do, sort of fly off the handle in some way. Best decision Meriwether Lewis ever made was to choose William Clark to be his co-commander, co-captain in the Corps of Discovery. So happy birthday, William Clark. I won't be eating a fat saddle of venison, but I am going to a restaurant in Ennis, Montana tonight, and if they have elk or any game except bear, I will order it in your honor. So 1770, 2025, all hail William Clark. When he died in the 1830s, 20,000 people marched in his funeral procession. Lewis died alone at a lonely inn on the Natchez Trace, just 3 years after returning from his successful expedition into the American West. So happy birthday, William Clark.